everyone, and welcome to Book Critiques with Cait. I'm your host, Caitlin. In today's show, I'm going to cover the book Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. I'll begin with a brief overview of the most prominent characters and give a shortened version of the book's plot. I will add in my personal opinion on the overall book and what impression the characters left on me as I go along through this episode. Finally, I will move on to my last topic and discuss how Aza's OCD affects not only her life, but the lives of those around her. To begin, I'm going to quote directly from John Green's website and give a general summary of the book's plot. 16-year-old Aza never intended to pursue the mystery of fugitive billionaire Russell Pickett, but there's a $100,000 reward at stake, and her best and most fearless friend, Daisy, is eager to investigate. So together, they navigate the short distance and broad divides that separate them from Russell Pickett's son, Davis. Aza is trying. She's trying to be a good daughter, a good friend, a good student, and maybe even a good detective, while also living with the ever-tightening spiral of her own thoughts. So, to recap and explain a little bit more, Aza is a 16-year-old girl living in Indiana who suffers from OCD, or obsessive-compulsive disorder, which millions of Americans have affecting their everyday lives. This mental illness literally runs her life, and it completely takes over her thoughts throughout the entire book. As Aza is trying to deal with her overwhelming thoughts about this bacteria that she's convinced is all around her, she gets tied up in the disappearance of a local millionaire whose son used to be her best friend. As Aza investigates the disappearance, she slowly starts falling for Davis, the man's son. She feels torn between her intrusive thoughts and trying to help Davis find out more about his father's disappearance. After her car crash, Aza's thoughts overtake her, and she's caught drinking hand sanitizer on the wall in the hospital room. She's convinced that this will kill the bacteria that's inside of her that she's going to catch staying in this hospital. As she recovers, she must come to terms with her feelings for Davis and her own intrusive thoughts. Like many other Americans, she has to go through therapy, and she does deal with her own problems, but the overlying problem through this entire book is these thoughts are taking over her life. Overall, I thought the book was really well written. I'm a pretty big John Green fan, so I'm a little bit biased, but I felt like Aza was a very, very believable character, especially somebody who I could see myself suffering from the exact same complications that she does. I think it took me less than a day to actually finish this book, and I was hooked from the very first page to the very last page. I could really relate to Aza and some of the thoughts that she had throughout the novel, and I just really enjoyed this book. Now, there is a little bit of romance added in here. I'm a pretty hopeless romantic myself, but it wasn't in your face. It was very subtly woven into the plot, and I could see that there could be times when somebody who doesn't really like reading a romance wouldn't appreciate it, but it wasn't the main theme. It was kind of a little side arc going on. So, other reviewers seem to give mixed responses to the story when I looked it up on Goodreads. So Grace, or Bert's Books, on Goodreads said, quote, "This book felt like one big introduction, 215 pages worth of it, and then the climax was happening out of nowhere, and the rest was falling action. It felt like there was no rising action at all, and it was just a progression of Aza's life. I can't decide if that was purposeful or if I'm complaining about it or not. But I thought I'd bring it up for all of the people that aren't fans of character-driven novels and value traditional plot structures." So I can understand where they're coming from, but I personally liked the pace of the novel. Throughout the book, she is dealing with the anxiety of breaking open the callus that she has on her thumb, and she makes herself bleed, thinking that this is going to get rid of the bacteria that's in her body. As she attends therapy regularly, it doesn't really seem to help, but as the story progresses, you do see her start to overcome her fears. Everything starts to boil over when Aza and her best friend get in a fight, and she feels so alone and she has no one to talk to, which really drives her to Davis. but she has to overcome those own thoughts that she has of him. So, to wrap everything up, I think Turtles All the Way Down is a very relatable story because everyone suffers from a little bit of anxiety. It has a dash of romance, but overall the story covers multiple events in Aza's life and I think really portrays somebody who struggles with mental health in a really good way. Thank you for tuning in this week. If you liked this content, please like and share this video, and remember to subscribe to NWTV7 for future episodes. Have a good day, everyone.